What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be doing a full face of LA Girl Cosmetics. So if that sounds like something you guys are interested in seeing, then keep on watching. I apologize if I don't sound the best today. I'm pretty certain that I'm coming down with some type of sinus infection, so love that for me. So just so that I'm not having to worry about wiping off my foundation if I have to blow my nose, I'll just end up doing my foundation and all of that stuff last. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my brows. And to start with, this is the LA Girl Brow Bestie, and mine is in the shade Soft Brown. It's one of these pencils. It comes with a spoolie, and then it also has this kind of triangular kind of tip on it right here. Not exactly the softest. There's the shade right there. That might be okay for me. I guess we'll go ahead and find out. I used to use LA Girl products all the time, like a long time ago, and I haven't used them for quite some time, so I wanted to pick up some products and give them a try. This isn't the softest brow pencil formula, but I mean, it's working. I do just kind of wish it was a little bit softer though. Shade match is okay. I would have preferred if it had been like a little bit more of a cooler shade, but when I was on their website, I kind of feel like most of their shades were kind of geared more towards warm shades, but that's okay. I'll just try to soften this up a little bit with the spoolie. I mean, it's laying down fine, not having any problems. A little bit drier than what I would personally prefer, but it's not bad by any means. I just personally don't like when these pencils are unbelievably hard and kind of crumbly, and when they're just like catching on your skin. This one's not doing that. I don't know why it's been so long since I've used this brand, because I used to have a pretty decent amount of products from them, but when I went online to their website and went back through my collection, I realized that I didn't have that much from them anymore. So I wonder if when we were moving and everything a few years ago, if I just lost some of it, or if it accidentally got mixed in with some of my trash stuff that we threw away. I always say I hate doing my eyebrows. It's without a doubt my least favorite part of my makeup routine. The more I'm using this, the softer it's getting, so I do like this. Alright, so I'm done with that step. Again, a little warmer than I prefer my brows to be, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I also got this is the Brow Bestie Long Wearing Gel, and this is also in the shade Cool Brown, and I picked up their Brow Ink Micro Brush Detailer Pen. So on one side it comes with this super fine tipped eyebrow brush, and it also comes with the spoolie on the other end. I really love my NYX brow pen, so I definitely wanted to give this a try. So that's really fine. Same color though. It looks like a very similar color. This one's just in the shade Soft Brown. Problem that I have with my NYX one is that it always tends to kind of either not leak per se, but even if you leave it like standing straight up and down, once you take the cap off, the tip is so saturated that you have to kind of pat it off on a paper towel or something first, or else you're just going to have a super dark line in your eyebrows. So I'm curious to see if this is going to do the same thing. But so far, upon first impression, I really like this. Curious to see how I'm gonna like the brow gel. Brows are never my favorite thing. I don't like my eyebrows. It's not a fun step in my makeup routine personally, but I know people who absolutely love doing their brows. I am just not one of those people. So this is the brow gel right here, and in its package it also comes with like a spoolie and an angled brush right here. I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to go in with the gel. Here's what the spoolie looks like right here, just a really kind of small one. These aren't exactly my favorites, but if they do the job, then it's not big of a deal. So it's definitely making my brow hairs darker. A little bold for my liking. I'm going to let that dry for a minute and then kind of brush through it with the spoolie, but I'm going to clean my brows up with a Q-tip and some micellar water. Not overly fond of how my brows look, but that could also just be user error, because so far I really do like the brow pencil. After it kind of warmed up on my skin a little bit, it performed just fine. And then I really like that micro brow pen because I really like drawing in like brow hairs where I'm missing them. The gel, I think this would be better utilized if I had not used the brow pencil, just because it did darken my hair. So this would probably be a product that I would use on its own to kind of darken my hair and the skin around it, and then I would just take like a Q-tip and clean up around it. So I'm not going to blame the product for that. My brows don't feel crunchy, but I am going to brush through them real quick with a spoolie. Alright, I think this is going to have to be one of those kind of trust the process type of moments, because I am not really liking how my brows look. They're a little too bold and bushy for my likings, but we're going to move on. I did pick up an eye primer from them. So this is the PRO.PRIMER High Definition Eyeshadow Primer, and it's one of the twist up sticks, like so. And there is no shade. If I remember correctly, it just came in like one standard shade. I'm just going to put that all over my eye. Just going to blend that out with my finger. And now, because I always at least set in the crease of my eyes, I'm going to go in with their Pro Powder. I'm going to go in with their high definition setting powder. I've been using this for years, and I stopped for a while, and I honestly don't know why. This is, or it was, one of my absolute favorite powders to use to set in my crease and eyelid area, because my shadows never creased and everything blended so nicely on top of it. So I'm curious to see if I still like it as much as I did. This is a very, very finely milled powder, by the way. Alright, and for my eyeshadow today, I picked up their Surreal Dream eyeshadow palette. This is what the color story looks like. I absolutely love this. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of in this palette is the fact that there are only two mattes. It's this one here and this one. So if I can't blend this out very easily, I'm just going to go in with some setting powder to kind of help blend that out. And there are no shade names, so I'm going to start with this lighter green shade right here. I can't even remember the last time I used a, wow, that's a lot of kick up in the pan. Very, very dusty. I don't even remember the last time that I used one of these palettes from LA Girl. It's been a very, very long time since I've used any of their eyeshadows. I do kind of wish there was at least one more lighter shade in this palette, at least a lighter matte shade. Gonna help blend this out a little bit. If you're not into kind of grungy type of smoky eyes, this palette would probably not necessarily be for you, and it'd probably be better to use it if you just need like some shimmer or pops of shimmer on your lids. And I am pretty certain this is not going to go with the lip that I chose, but I guess I should have paid better attention to the lip I chose, but oh well, I'm gonna make this work. I will say though, with this shade, it is building up really nicely, and I'm not having any trouble blending this out, but I don't know if it's because of the shadow or because of the setting powder, because like I said, this setting powder, no matter what shadows I used, everything always blended out so nicely on top of it. I think I'm getting a pretty decent enough blend that I don't need to go in with any setting powder to blend it out. Alright, and now that that shade is laid down, I'll work on blending it out a little bit more in just a minute, but I'm going to go back into the palette. I think I'm going to go ahead and darken up the outer corner, and I'm going to use this shade right here. Stamp that there. Honestly, on the lid, really look like the same shade. This one right here is just ever so slightly deeper. They really look like the same shade. But the pigment on these, for really how cheap this palette is actually pretty nice. Alright, and now I'm going to go back into that first green shade, and I'm going to work on blending out the outer corner. I definitely should have read the description on this. I mean, it's a beautiful palette, and I'm very glad that I picked it up, but I definitely thought there were going to be some more mattes in here, and this is 100% a lot more dark and sultry than what I was initially going for, but I really like how it looks so far. It's just, she dark. She very dark. I'm really kind of torn on what colors to do in here, because I really like blue shades in here. I love the gold and green. I think I might do a transition from blue to green to gold. So I might give that a try, or actually go from green to blue to gold. I think we'll do that. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here and put it right next to the deepest shade in the corner. This is honestly really good quality for how cheap this palette was. Just because something's expensive doesn't mean it's good quality and vice versa. Some of my favorite makeup that I have was, by some definition, not expensive. I kind of changed my mind here. I'm going to go in with this brown shade right here, and then I'm also going to go in with the gold right next to it in the inner corner. These shimmers are honestly pretty soft in the pan. They don't feel crumbly, they don't feel dry. Definitely a very dark, sultry, kind of smoky eye type of moment. I personally really like it. I like all types of makeup when it comes to eye looks, so I'm perfectly happy with how this is turning out. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and I'll be right back. Alright, I cleaned that up and I went ahead and I sharpened up the edge. So now we're going to go in with primer, and I picked up the PRO.PREP High Definition Smoothing Face Primer. Don't think that I have ever tried this specific primer from them. Alright, just from the appearance, I'm pretty certain this is probably a silicone based primer. Feels really soft. Yeah, definitely has that silicone type of feeling to it. My skin does feel really soft after putting that on. So next I'm going to go in with my foundation, and I have the Pro Coverage High Definition Longwear Illuminating Foundation. Mine is in the shade Porcelain, but I have a feeling this might be a little too dark for me. So I'm going to try it on one side of my face, and if it is a little too dark, then I'm going to go in with their foundation mixing pigment in white. Here's what it looks like. A little bit runny. Yeah, I think this is a little too dark for me. Yeah, I think that's going to be too dark. I mean, the foundation looks really nice though, up close, other than it just being the wrong shade. But I think that if I put some of that white in it, then it should make it pretty much the right shade for me. So let me do that on the back of my hand here. Always kind of makes me a little nervous when I do this, and I don't know why. I always feel like I'm gonna mess it up, but I'd rather have it be too light than too dark. Lightened it up a little bit. That should be a little bit closer to what I actually am. Should be a little better. I don't mind though if I have to lighten up my foundations a little bit. It's not a big deal. I just don't like when I have to tone correct, because I'm always afraid that if I add a little bit too much blue, it's going to turn more green, and I'm not really neutral because I have more of a pink undertone. So I try to obviously get foundations that are as close to my skin tone as possible. Yeah, that's much better. Was definitely not expecting to be doing a full-blown glam type of look, but here we are. But upon first impression, my skin does look pretty decent. However, I will say it's already starting to settle into the very fine lines that I have right here on my forehead and around my nose. It is looking a little cakey around my chin. I don't know if you guys can tell, but around like right here it's getting a little cakey. I don't know if I can necessarily chalk it up to the foundation or if it's the mixing medium. So I guess we'll move on to concealer and we'll see how it looks as we keep moving forward. And I just realized that I no longer have their concealer. I remember I decluttered it a while ago because I feel as though I'm the only person on God's green earth who does not like their Pro Conceal concealer. It just looked so bad under my eyes. It didn't matter the skin prep I did, the setting powder, it just looked horrible. My under eyes looked disgusting. So I'm going to go in with a somewhat equivalent, and this is the Brush On Liquid Concealer by Shop Miss A, and mine is in the shade L1. So it has the exact same type of brush applicator, but this one usually works a little bit better for me than that other one does. Alright, now I'm going to go back into the HD setting powder, and I'm going to go ahead and set underneath my eyes. I remember I did also like this powder for underneath my eyes because it feels very soft, it looks very soft. Alright, I don't believe that I picked up any other cream products from them, so I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face as well with the same powder. Alright, my foundation does look a little bit better after putting that on. The only area of concern that I have is just going to be right here on my nose. I don't know if you can see it in camera, but right around here I am missing a little bit of my foundation, and my redness is kind of peeping through right there. It is kind of settling into the pores of my nose, but everywhere else, other than like this dry patch that I have down here, the rest of my face looks pretty decent overall. So next I'm gonna go into the bronzer, and this is their matte bronzer in the shade Back to the Beach. I've actually been wanting to try this bronzer for a really long time. I just never got around to picking it up, and this thing is huge.
That's what she said.
And it does have kind of like a tropical coconut type of scent. It kind of smells like the Physicians Formula butter bronzer. Really like the way it smells. Yeah, I've been wanting to try this bronzer for a pretty long time, so I'm excited to finally have it. Really soft. Here's what the shade looks like. Good pigment so far. Ooh, I really like that. Oh yeah, I really like that. Blending really nicely, giving a nice flush of color. On first impression, I can honestly say I'm pretty happy that I picked this up. Got no regrets. Alright, well so far I would say that that has been my favorite product, and I really like that. Really love the color. Blended out really nicely. Super smooth bronzer. So far I would definitely say this has been my favorite product, so I'm very happy that I picked this up. Next, I'm going to go in to actually one of their blushes that I've been using for quite a while. And this is their Just Blushing Blush, and this is in the shade Just Because. I have this shade and I love to use it for powder contour. And since this is already a glammed up type of look anyways, might as well go in with some contour and chisel them cheekbones. If you're fair to light skin, this is a pretty good shade for contouring. And now I'm going to go into another one of their Just Blushings, and I did just pick this up. This is another blush, and this is in the shade Just Radiant. I didn't realize that this had shimmer in it because I do have a highlighter, but I'm still going to use both. Still a really pretty shade though. But my guess would be that if you just want kind of a glowy blush, this should work just fine. I don't mind glowy blushes for the days that I don't really want to use any highlighter. Yeah, you can definitely see the glow. I'll definitely be utilizing this on days where I don't want to wear any highlighter, because that is a really pretty shade. I really like that. I love like rose gold, kind of champagne type of colors, especially for blushes. I think it's really pretty. Alright, I like that a lot. So next for my highlighter, I'm going to go into the Strobe Light Strobing Powder, and mine is in the shade 120 Watt. Kind of like an icy white type of color. Ooh, alright. Wow. That is really, really pretty. Gonna have a scene from space type of look going on today. We're already glamming out, why not? Let's add some up here. Add some to my niggers. If you do not like glitter, this is not for you. There are definitely kind of some micro glittery specks in here. So now that we are dazzling, I'm going to go ahead and finish off the under eye. And I'm going to go back into the palette, and honestly I might go in with one of the shimmers in here to be a little different. I think to start with, I'm going to go into this kind of dark blue shade right here. I definitely don't mind having shimmers on the lower lash line. I also honestly don't even mind doing shimmers in my crease. When it comes to shadows, I do not discriminate. As long as my look turns out looking nice, I'll use shades pretty much however. Well, for being dry, I mean, that has some pretty decent pigment to it. Alright, now I'm just going to take the kind of lighter blue shade right above it and blend that out. And then to just kind of lighten it up a little bit, I'm going to go back into the loose setting powder and kind of soften how dark that is. Alright, and now for the inner corner and brow bone highlight, I'm going to try out this shade, but if it doesn't work, I'll go in with the strobing powder. I'm going to go into the lightest shade of the palette right up here in the corner. Ooh, that's really pretty. And I think just because I am going to go into a little bit of that strobe powder and see how it looks. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my lower waterline, and I picked up a Glide Gel Liner, and this is in the shade Dark Brown. Oh wow, that's creamy. That is really creamy. It's pretty dark too. I mean, you can definitely tell that it's brown, but if you were to look at it from far away, it looks black, but this is really, really soft. Alright, well that definitely has to be one of the softest liners I think that I've ever had. I mean, it went right on, no problems at all, and I really like the color. I don't really have too many brown waterline liners, and I really do like this color. So next, to finish off the eyes, I'm going to go in with their mascara, and this is their Fiber Lash Dimensional Mascara. Here's what the wand looks like. I'm a pretty big fan of these like synthetic kind of thin wands. Might have to do 2 coats, but it doesn't look too bad. It's not curling my lashes as much, but I probably should have curled my lashes to begin with, but wow, that's a really nice mascara for the lower lashes. Alright, well I got some mascara on my under eye, so I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to apply another coat, and I'll be right back after that dries so that I can remove that. Y'all, I just applied my second coat, and ignore this under here and this right here. Look at my lashes. I think they look really, really great. I think I may have just found a new favorite mascara. I think my lashes look great. Kind of the semi-falsy effect without actually having to do falsies, which is fine with me, because I personally hate putting on false lashes. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but the cleanup process is just not for me. Alright, so I've removed that extra mascara, and now we're going to go in and finish with the lips, and please excuse my mishap. I don't think that I chose very good colors for this, but I paid for it, so I would like to use them. So I'm going to start with the LA Girl lip liner, and this is in the shade Natural Creme. This is what it looks like. Ooh, kind of dry. But let's see. Alright, now that my lips are lined, I'm pretty certain that this color probably is not going to go with this, but again, I bought it, so we're going to go ahead and try it out. And this is the Matte Flat Velvet Lipstick, and this is in the shade Runaway. She's a little runaway. So it's like this beautiful, vampy type of red color. Pretty nice formula, honestly. Not too bad of a shade match, but definitely a little kind of much going on, but I still really like this lip color. I think it's super pretty. So now I'm going to go in with one of their glazed, super intense color, extra glossy finish lip paint, and this is in the shade Elude. I'm going to lighten this up just a little bit. So there's the shade right here. I am personally not afraid to mix and match things. I'm going to lay a little bit down on the back of my hand, and I'm going to take a small brush and I'm going to brush that onto my lips. Has like a menthol kind of smell to it. Alright, and to finish off this look, I'm going to go ahead and go in with their setting spray. Let's see what the mister looks like on this. Fairly fine, and there is no scent to it. Oh, maybe it might kind of smells like a slight coconut type of scent. Alright guys, and this is the final look. Alright guys, and this is the final look. So overall, I would have to say for the most part, I do like how my makeup turned out. I do have a couple gripes over, I think it's going to be mostly one particular product, but I'll get to that in a minute. But overall, I'm very happy with how this look turned out. I personally love a very vampy lip and a dark kind of smoky eye going on, but we'll kind of go through this quickly. So this primer, I mean, it did fine. It went on really smoothly. I'm gonna have to try this with other foundations that I do like and know very well to give my final opinion, because my skin up close right here, just in where my smile lines are, my foundation is already creasing and it doesn't look very good. Same thing with up here and some of the fine lines that I have on my forehead and right around my eyes. But it's most prominent like right here on the crease of my chin and the smile lines, and it just up close, it doesn't, in those particular areas, it just doesn't look very good. So I'm not going to blame that directly on the primer. I would need to try this with other products. Next, moving into the foundation here, so it is a little bit too dark for me, but I may want to try this just on its own, because again, I don't know if I can attribute the creasing solely to this product. I have had trouble with this in the past on some, so, but Upon first impression, when I initially laid this down, my skin did look really nice. My pores looked smoothed out. It didn't look cakey or gross. The only trouble it had was on my nose, but that may have been the primer. So I'm definitely going to try this out again, but before I did set it, it did have like a nice illuminating finish, which it did claim to have. I didn't have the concealer, but I already gave my thoughts on that. Not a fan of their concealer at all. Then moving on into their blush slash contour. I like both of these. I've had this one for a very long time and I use it pretty regularly when I do powder contour. So great shade for contouring if you're fair to light skin tone. I really like this blush. It was already fairly glowy to begin with, but I really like peachy, kind of rose gold, pinkish type of blushes. So I really do like this. This would be perfect if you just want a glowy blush and don't want to use a highlighter along with it. And then the bronzer. I think this has to be my favorite product of my little LA girl haul right here. It smells really nice. It blended out so nicely. Gave my skin a very nice flush, kind of like sun-kissed bronze. Very happy that I picked this up. As for the strobe light powder, I think this looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at this glow right here. I think it's absolutely stunning. It did not emphasize any of the texture around my skin, and I find that that doesn't happen very often when there are more glitter particles in here, but overall, I think this is great. I really like this. Now for the brow products right here, I am going to try this out on a day where I just try doing this on its own and then cleaning it up with a Q-tip with some micellar water. I think that might be where I get the best use out of this because it did darken up my brows. They don't feel crunchy, so I'm going to try this on its own. I did like the brow pencil after it kind of warmed up on my skin. I do wish the color was just a little bit more cool tone, but for the most part it performed really nicely. It wasn't catching on my skin or anything like that, and it lightened up really nicely when I used the spoolie. And then I definitely really like this micro brush because I love adding those fine hairs, and it wasn't leaking like the NYX brow pencil does, and I really love how fine tipped this is. So I'm excited to have this and to keep using it. And then moving in to the lips, I do really like this lip liner for the color. It was slightly dry, but that's not a huge deal to me. The more that I was using it, it softened up a little bit more, so I'm fine with that. Really like this color though. I think this color would go great with a lot of lipsticks. As for the matte lipstick, I really love this color. Some may disagree that it doesn't necessarily go with this lip. I think purpley kind of tones do in fact go with green because they're both on the cool spectrum. So this formula was really comfortable, glided on really easily, not drying at all, so I'm very happy to have this. I might pick up some more colors. As for the gloss, this is, I'm pretty certain, a plumping gloss because I could definitely feel the I could definitely smell the menthol, and it is ever so slightly tingly, unless I'm just imagining it, but I swear it does have a menthol type of scent to it. Really comfortable, not sticky at all, so I'm happy to have this. And then last but not least will be the eyes. Fantastic eyeliner, absolutely fantastic. Glided on, super creamy, 10 out of 10. As for the mascara, I'm very happy with how my lashes look. I think I might have liked them just a little bit better had I curled my lashes, but that's my fault. But this is a fantastic lower lash mascara. And as for the top lashes, it separated them, it lengthened them, it made them look more voluminous. I'm very excited to try this again, and I'm definitely going to be trying this after I curl my lashes. And then we have the eye primer. I think it did pretty decent. It was a little stiff and dry until I kind of softened it up on the back of my hand. But overall, I mean, I think it did pretty nicely. I mean, my shadows aren't creasing. Everything laid down on top of it really nicely. I do like the setting powder, but I've already said that. I've been using this powder for a very long time. So if you want a decent setting powder for under your eyes as well as setting your lids, I highly recommend this powder. And then finally, going in with the Surreal Dream palette right here. Absolutely love this color story, this kind of grungy, kind of greenish blue type of color story. The mattes were really nice, pretty decent amount of kick up in the pans. These two shades are pretty similar even in person, so I do wish there was a little bit more variation with that. But overall, I think the formula is really nice. They blend it out very easily. The mattes were actually very soft for the low cost of this palette. And overall, I'm very happy that I picked this up. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on all the products that I picked up. Thank you guys for watching another one of my videos today. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I do upload between 3 to 5 times every single week. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.